Hey guys, welcome back with me once again. Now that you are masters of the art of masking, now we are ready to move into our first 2D drawing project. Okay, now what I've picked for our first 2D drawing is just a simple 1, 2, 3 block. It's something that's easy to draw, something that's practical, and it's something that you can actually machine later on and make and keep. I made some 1, 2, 3 blocks in high school, and I still use them to this day quite a bit. Okay, so if you will go to the part files folder in section 2 and find the demo, or I'm sorry, not demo, but find the 2D projects folder, open it up. There'll be a folder that says 1, 2, 3 blocks, and you open it up, and there will be a folder in there that says drawings. Okay, so you open that up, and you will find a drawing of a 1, 2, 3 block. Now it's going to be in PDF format. It's going to look just like this. Okay, this is the drawing that I'm going to be using. So for you people who are fortunate enough to have two screens, just simply drag it over to your second screen and look back and forth, use it as a reference. Okay, if you don't have two screens, just print it out and follow along with us. Okay. Alright, now the first thing I would do if I was going to sit down and draw this first thing I'd do is draw me a straight line in Y and a straight line in X. So if I go create line both at keyboard 0, 0, 0. Okay, now I'm going to use edit transform offset to draw this. Okay, so I know that this way it's 3 inches long. So if I hit ERCFC, well, that's convenient. 1.5 is already there, so I'll click OK. 1.5 from there, 1.5 from there. And I hit C for change offset. This time I want 1 inch. Okay, 1 inch there, 1 inch there. Now I trim these up, and I should have a rectangle that is exactly 3 inches in X and 2 inches in Y. Alright, so let's just go ahead and analyze that before we get any farther. Exactly 3 inches in X, exactly 2 inches in Y. Okay, now I'm going to show you one way to do this without having to calculate every single hole location and draw it. The first thing we need to do, it's usually good practice to put your 0, 0 up here in this back left corner. One reason for that is if you're holding your work in a vise to machine it, you always want your 0 back here where the fixed jaw of the vise is, because you know that's not going to move. Okay. Another reason for doing this in this particular case, you have to look at where your dimensions are called off from on your print. Okay, and looking at your print, the majority of the dimensions are called off of this edge here and this edge here. Okay, so that's another reason why we need to put 0, 0 at this intersection point. Alright, so to do that, we're going to use edit transform move location, V for visible. Okay, it's asking me the location to translate from. We want to translate from the intersect of that and that to 0, 0, 0. Alright, and there that's got us with our 0 at that intersection point. Okay, now from here what I would do is I would create a point at that first hole location, and looking at our print we can see that it is 370 in X and negative 0.4025 in Y. Okay, alright, so there's where our first hole would be. Now instead of going through that and that same process and doing all these, we can just copy them and make it a little bit faster. So if I go edit transform, copy a distance, I select that. Okay, now this is where we've got to do a little bit of back figuring just to see the hole spread, but that's no problem. So if we look at the location in X of our next hole, it is 935 and we want to subtract 370 from that. Hit tab. That gives us 565. Okay, now we're just gonna do one line at a time. So it'd be 0 and Y, and let's click OK. Now, since we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes, and we already have one here, so we would want this on 4. Alright, then we click OK. And there are 4 holes for our top holes. Alright, so now, see, and it's still in transform copy. It hasn't went out. So now you can come select this one, hit done. Now our X value will be 0. Our Y value, this is where we subtract the difference between the two hole locations. So that'd be 1 inch minus 4025. Okay, and that's 579 and 5/10. Now remember, we're going to be going down, so that's going to be negative. So I click OK. Now this time I'm going to want 2 copies because there's 3 in all, and I've already got 1 to my current layer. So I click OK. Alright, so now all I got to do is the same thing I did for the first one here. I have my multi-select on, so I can select both of these, hit done, and our X would be 935 minus 370, and our Y would be 0. I click OK, and we want 4 times on the current layer. Alright, and there's our hole pattern already. Okay, now if these were all the same size, we could have just drawn holes here instead of points, but unfortunately they're not the same size. Alright, so now all you have to do is look at your print, and you see that there are 5 3/8 16 UNC tapped holes. Okay, so we can either look up on our drill chart what the drill size for 3/8 16 would be, or we could just draw them 375. Okay, so let's just go ahead and draw them at 375. Okay, and I want to put that in the center of a point. So now all I do is just go through here and click where the threads would be. Alright, now I can now all I got to do is just draw in the holes that the other diameter says 390 18 places. Okay, CCD for create circle, and those are 390 diameter, and obviously it's going to be all the other ones. Now what we can do here, just for a visual reference, is we can turn the tapped holes a different color so that we know something is different about them, because they're pretty close to the same size there. And that's it. That is our top view of our 1 2 3 block. Okay, there's not necessary to draw in chamfers here. That's something that you have to worry about when you're trying to machine it and create toolpaths with it. Okay, so that's the top view. So let's rename that as top view. Okay, so I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to say side view. Make it current, click OK, make our top layer invisible. Alright, so now I've got a blank screen again. Okay, so looking at my print here, looking at the side view, the way I would draw this is, once again, I would start out by hitting CLBK for create line both at 000. Okay, now I know that it's 3 inches total, so ERCFC 1.5 over there, and then change it back to 0.5 since a 1, 2, 3 block is an inch thick. Okay, then come back and trim. Okay, so now we know that from looking at our print, we know that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes, and they're exactly on center line. So if I create that line back horizontal, now we know the location of our first hole because it's 370, as you can see in top view. So if you ERCFC once again, type 370. Oh, wrong line. ERCFC 370. Okay, and that is our intersection point for our next line. And now all you have to do is go in here and just look at your dimensions. 935. Type in 935. Click that line and offset. Hit C for change offset. Type in 1.5. Click that line and offset. C for change offset. Type in 2.065. Click that line and offset. And then once again change for offset. And finally 6.38. Okay. Click that line and offset. Oh, I must have hit a wrong number there. 2.68. Oh, I'm sorry, 630. 2.63. Okay. So now all we do is we see that all 4 of these holes are not tapped, and it tells us that they are the 390 diameter because the top view says 18 places. Alright, so now all we do is hit CCD for create circle by diameter, and we want 390. It's already there. So if we go up here and click on intersection point, then we can put one of those at each intersection point here. Okay, go back and delete these lines. Alright, and that is our side view of our 1, 2, 3 block. Now, I mean, it doesn't really matter where your 0 is at this point. Really not relevant. Okay, so now we've made top view, we've made side view. Now let's make front view. Call it front view, make it current, click OK. Alright, now we're left with a blank slate again. Okay, so the front view is right beside the right side view. So once again, I would start with create line, both keyboard. I'm going to say ERCFC. I know my 1, 2, 3 block is 1 inch thick, so I'm going to start with a 1/2 inch. Okay, change it to 1 inch. Then all I do is go up there and trim it. I can delete that. Alright. So now we know that all of our holes are going to be going through our center line, right? We know that, and we also know that there is going to be a hole right in the middle. So we can go ahead and make that one 390 at 0, 0. Okay. So now's where we have to figure the spacing for the other two holes. Now this print, when it gives us those locations of the other holes, it doesn't say typical. So we don't know for sure that they would be in the same location, but given that the part is a 1, 2, 3 block and the holes would need to line up, we can assume that they are the same spacing as the previous ones. Okay, so if we bring our calculator up and we go back up to our top view on our print and just subtract once again that 935 minus the 370, we get 565. Okay, so what we can do is ERCFC 565, one that way and one that way. Alright, now CCD for create circle, our same value is still in there. Click OK, and we want it in the intersect of that and that and that and that. Alright, and that's really all there is to it. Okay, that is our top view, side view, and front view of our 1, 2, 3 block. Okay, and that's using edit, transform, copy, offset, and that's the one that I told you you would be using the most, which is that ERCFC. Alright, so that does it for our first drawing project. Now, that wasn't too bad, huh? Our next drawing project is going to be on a vice stop, so I have to get on SolidWorks real quick and draw that up and make a print for you guys for it. It's pretty simple too. There's maybe a few new elements introduced. Shouldn't take long, but stay tuned in for that, and I'll show you how to draw it. And a vice stop is another thing that you can later on that you can actually build and continually use. Vice stops are a pretty crucial part for a machinist, especially if the shop you work at does a lot of production work. Alright, so I'm gonna wrap this one up. I hope you enjoyed it, hope you learned some things, and I will talk to you soon.